friends, welcome back. Last night I finished a book you may have heard of. It's called Paper Towns by John Green. If you haven't read this book yet, let me tell you, it is the best way to get into reading, especially if you've never read John Green. This is the way to go. If your friends are not big readers, give them this book. It is written just like a movie. It's hilarious. It's straight to the point. This book is about a senior in high school. His name is Q. He is in love with a mysterious girl next door named Margot. Margot takes him on all these adventures, and she has huge secrets that he has to figure out and solve throughout the book. I gave this book 5 stars. It was so much fun. I read it in 1 week. Stick around if you've already read the book because I'm about to spoil you like a ton. The adventure with Margot, the beginning of the book, it felt very rushed. And everything was so heavily foreshadowed. Like every time she looked out a window, it was like, and Margot held so many secrets, but I didn't know how much she was faking the smile. When I was reading it, it didn't feel like the fun and excitement of the moment. It felt like I was reading this because it was necessary in the rest of the book. You know what I mean? But then Margot disappears and it's just like, oh my god. And then every 5 pages, there's just a huge plot twist cliffhanger thing. And I love how many times they follow a clue, but then it's wrong, and then they follow a different clue. When Margot disappears, everyone's like, okay, this happens all the time, we're fine. Q knows that there's something wrong. He knows that this is different than before. He knows that she might be gone for good, and he thinks she killed herself. And I really thought she killed herself at this point, because I was thinking that from the beginning. When Q's in school the next day, after the crazy adventure with Margot, he is so tired, and he talks about in calculus how he's basically sleeping. So I was reading this on the couch and I fell asleep because it was just too real. It was too real. So I love his buddies. He has Ben and he has Radar. Radar is so awesome. Ben, he just wants to be popular so bad. He has all these popular groups that he's trying to get into. And so they have to really clean up Ben's act multiple times. Radar is just pretty sweet about it. He's like, okay, Ben's gonna be Ben, I'm just gonna help him. But then Q was like, no, Ben, we are never speaking again. And it was so cool how differently they reacted to Ben on prom night. They are the trio. They complement each other so well, and I just loved the friend group. So he starts to read Margot's poem book, which has highlights in it. Right when the poet's talking about doors and hinges, I'm like, oh my god, just open there's a secret thing on the door. But they don't think about this till 2 chapters later. I think it was Ben. He was like, okay, we need to freaking look in the hinge. So they look in the hinge in Margot's room. It's not there. And then way later, Q is like, okay, I'm gonna look at the hinge in my room. And then there's a little piece of paper there. And that was so cool because she only wants him to find it. And that was proven in that moment. Okay, so they go to this abandoned house and it is so scary and they can literally smell the body. But then they go around the corner and it's a dead raccoon and I'm like, oh my gosh, so many feelings going on right now. This is really obvious that she was sleeping here. Q starts to realize that Margot is a different person to everybody. Q says something really important. He says everyone's looking at Margot as a mirror instead of a window. So they start to find these clues, and so I'm pretty sure from this point they start going to the abandoned suburbs or something like that. He literally looks inside of the tree and he thinks that he's gonna find Margot dead. That just scared me so much, and he thought her train of thought was they saw the dead body when they were little, so Q should be the one to find me because he can handle it and he would understand, and she doesn't want her parents to find her dead. And that made sense at the time. I really expected to find her body. He doesn't find her, but he still doesn't know that she's alive. So he just sits there and he cries. They're just tracing clues. And then this goes on for so long, but it just keeps getting more and more interesting because they have different theories about Margot, and he's trying to see from Margot's point of view, and he really thinks he can. And then he just hits a certain point where he's like, I'm never going to be able to know everything inside her head. I realize that I will never know everything about someone in my life or someone in the world, and that just, I don't know, everything Q said, I really felt it, and it was he was talking to me, and it was just so real, okay? It's about time for graduation. They're still arguing over Margot. They don't know if she's alive, and then he gets this trail on the dictionary website from Radar that basically she commented on saying exactly where she was. It went with the pinpoints on the map that she left in the abandoned house. But this part was so crazy because they are about to graduate. Their whole family's there. I know graduation is like, my sister just graduated. It's such a big deal. Everyone goes from out of town. Q is like, I'm leaving. I'm driving to New York. That's like 24 hours straight. But the Fab Three, they are just like not gonna let him do it. And even the girlfriend, she's like, I'm not gonna let you do it. They all missed graduation to go drive to Margot for 24 hours. Oh my gosh, it wasn't even like about Margot, it was about Q and how much he meant to them. So they drive 24 hours straight. It was so entertaining to hear their little house in his brand new car that his parents got him. And they have the living room, the family room, the kitchen, the refrigerator, 6-minute gas station stops. That is so real. I've done so many car trips. I've done 15 hours is my longest car trip. I've never done 24 hours straight. That is insane. So it was really crazy. Q in charge of the food, so he just gets like all this junk food, and they're so mad at him because they're like, bro, we want apples! We want apples! And that was really funny. So yeah. Some crazy things happen on the road. The lights just like hit the cow and they're going so fast. You could see the cow's eyes looking at you. His friend's like in the passenger seat. He takes the steering wheel and he just like moves it to the side. Everything happened so fast, but I could picture this part so well. Like I said, this book is like a freaking movie, okay? So eventually they are going to the fields and stuff, and eventually they find a car, and then they're like, it's Margot's car! And then they find a barn, and they find Margot. And first of all, she's like, I don't want you here, get out. And then like, what? I shouldn't have expected so much from her. I thought they'd like run to each other and they'd like hug, and then she would start crying, and then Q would start crying. So she's like, no, get away from me. And I'm like, okay. Everyone kind of leaves. Q and Margot just kind of talk. They have a heart-to-heart, okay? And it's very much like needed in this situation. She basically tells him she didn't mean for him to find her. She didn't mean to leave all those clues to her. And he kind of believes that. I don't know if he really does. I don't believe that. I believe, at least deep down, she wanted him to find her. She's kind of like, how did this happen? Like, how'd you just show up? So then they go on a nice walk and they're talking about life and paper towns and like what Margot is really feeling on the inside, and that her journal is like so important throughout this whole thing. There's many times in the book where he's like, I could kiss her right now. And he keeps thinking that. He's like, okay, if I lean in, I could kiss her right now. That happens like over and over again. And then eventually he just does. He just kisses her. And then she kisses him. It was just so perfect and I loved it. She's such a mystery. I love it. And then she calls her parents. Calling her parents is a big deal after all this, and after she ran away. That just meant so much to like me, and Q's there for her, and we have the whole gang together. And then he starts to think, he's like, okay, I have to go back home. I have to leave Margot. Will Margot come with me? Will I go with Margot? And then it turns out that she's gonna stay there. We don't get much closure. They just kind of like stare into each other's eyes, and then it's over. It wasn't the worst ending. I've read worse endings. I think it was pretty good. Just like the ending as in when they found Margot and they talk. Like it was very nice. I love when at the end they start talking about people and how guy who killed himself in the park when they were little kids, he was the center of his own drama movie, and everybody's the center of their own movie, and everyone has like good and bad and like their own thoughts and their own feelings, and no one's just like one-sided. Like to us, you'll just see their part in your life. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Okay, have a great summer. I love you so much.